Previously on the Apocalypse Eternal Darkness livestream. Jalen discovers the ED Fight Club.
A lot of shit, frankly, for being online free-to-play, and people saying you can't do narrative with that. And
Dennis laughs uncontrollably.
This is so much fun. Seeing the look on your face is like golden.
Jalen gets the surprise of his life.
And so we got through as many as we could that we thought were really important. You ready for this boss fight, Damien? Jalen? Guess not.
Yeah. I was ready. I was thinking, like, okay.
Deep into that darkness peering. Long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Apocalypse Studios live stream. My name is Jalen Pachenik, your community herald. I'm joined, of course, as always, by our CEO, Dennis Dyack. How are you today, Dennis?
Hello. Hey, I'm doing well, Jalen. Hi, everyone. Good to see everyone out there.
Good. Glad you're doing good. And this week we are joined by none other than Faceless Mike from our Discord. How are you, Faceless Mike?
Yes. Greetings. Doing great, guys. Doing great.
Perfect. I love it. I love the... it's quite the mask you got on there. Where exactly did you get that?
Oh, this was custom made from a particular friend of mine in the US who does these ones. Ironically called Faceless Masks, if anyone's ever looking.
Oh, that's awesome, man. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm. And I guess before we get into the game, can you tell the people at home why you're wearing the mask, Faceless Mike?
Oh, well, it started a while ago when I was working for a particular company. I can't really tell, but I used to work with people with physical and mental disabilities. And as part of an NDA on my job, we couldn't show our face anywhere. I was told you couldn't show it on television or anything. And my first reaction is, when's that going to happen? And someone said, hey, don't you stream on Twitch? And my manager looked at me and he's like, yeah, you can't do that. And I said, well, what if I just don't show my face? Because it says that I don't show my face in public. So, ta-da, faceless.
Nice. Hey, I love it.
Works, right?
That is a cool story. I never would have that. See, that's very interesting to hear. The world is is almost crazier than what you could ever possibly imagine. That's a really neat story.
Thanks, Dennis.
Yeah.
I wanted to try and...
You're already playing, Jalen. You're playing Eternal Darkness now already?
Yes. Yeah, I want to try and get in here to get at these guys.
I just see lots of blood.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes when I play this game. Yeah, I did get ahead of myself. I said I wanted to do this stuff before we started the game, but I was too excited. I started playing already. I wanted to thank GAlt Gaming for hosting and for subscribing. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And
Shout out to one of the guys.
We had left off. I was examining these ruins.
All right.
You're going the right way, Jalen, yeah?
Pardon me?
You're going the right way?
That was always a good
I'm just messing with you. I'm checking.
Fair enough. Oh boy. Thank you for hosting Distortion Devil. We appreciate that, as I said. There's quite a few bodies around here. Interesting.
Yeah, so Mike, you probably have a ton of questions, so feel free to jump right in and go crazy, and I'll answer all I can, and we can watch Jalen die a lot. It'll be fun.
Well, it wouldn't be a stream if that didn't happen, would it?
No, exactly.
Okay, the first one I actually have is from GAlt. I have a few from himself and a few others on my Discord. So the first one is, okay, Dennis, so picture your vision on Dead House, right? It's like, how do you envision a day in the life of a player 6 months in? Will we be logging in to do dailies? Will we grind the same content but harder, aka Diablo style? Will there be weekly events? Like,
Yeah, that's a great question. And the way I see the game is somewhat different than most online games, I guess is the way to describe it. And I know those things are fun, and we are going to have some of that for sure. Hope is that not only will you have that, but you will have always a lot of drops of content and storytelling. So we've seen online games so far in the sense that they've all focused on gameplay. And so when it comes to getting your experience, like getting that next new weapon, leveling up, grinding, finding that loot, that's all gameplay specific experiences. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's good. But what we're going to try to offer in Dead House Sonata are story and content experiences as well. So rather than just logging in and doing like a daily loot run, which you could, I would love to see other things like there's a new adventure, there's a new dungeon, there's a new epic quest that you can go on with your friends that is constantly being updated all the time. And we have several ways in which to accomplish this. Of course, we're going to be bringing on board a very large narrative team to do some of the story and online questing. But with the interactive streaming, we're going to be adding the ability for people to LARP on Twitch real time as we're streaming the game and doing all kinds of adding things to the story. But then the third thing that we have, and this is, of course, this is further down the line, is going to be have the ability for community members to add content to the game as well. We're going to provide a backbone. We'll have the story arcs each year, and we have all kinds of incredible amounts of detail already laid out for where we want to go in the future. But we want people in the game and gamers being able to create entire dungeons without opening Lumberyard or any of the technical engines, so the tools be all online. And the reason that is for two reasons, I guess two main reasons. One is that with all the games that I've created over the years, I've had many people come up to me and say, what do you think of this story? How about this story for Blood Omen Legacy of Kain? How about this story for Eternal Darkness? So I thought, why not provide the tools? And if if we provide the tools in a way that they're easy to create content, and it actually is of high quality, and it doesn't require jumping through a bunch of hoops, I'm confident the community can create some pretty good stuff because I've seen good stuff in the past. The other side to this is we want to make a micro platform allowing people to sell this stuff. So if you're a creator and the community likes it, you have a chance to make money with these kind of things. So that will help us make sure we're constantly delivering content, is being able to provide this. And I feel that all these sort of three main pillars are our objectives for making this happen. So if we do it right, it won't just be grinding. There will be the grinding and the loot stuff. However, if we do it right, there'll be new stories and new adventures to take in as well. I want the experience to go beyond gameplay. I want there to be narrative. I want there to be other experiential things that you can do in Dead House beyond the norm of a free-to-play game and a online game.
I don't know how anyone can hear that and not be excited. Seriously.
Well, we're trying. I think as you know, we were talking about this a little earlier when we started thinking about Dead House a few years ago now. When we looked at Legacy of Kain and Eternal Darkness, the games that I've made in the past, and others, we realized that it doesn't appear to be. I don't know every game that's being developed, but we don't know any games that have voices like this in the video game industry anymore. And I personally love these kind of games, and I think they need to be made. Yes, we're moving in the free-to-play space and going online. That's just the medium changing. It's just like going from a cartridge to a CD-ROM. However, I think these games need to be made, and I think there's a market for it. So hopefully, Dead House will prove that out. Time will tell.
I definitely agree with that, because like any of the arguments against free to play, Well, they're like, oh, but that's free to play. That's a common argument. Warframe and Fortnite. Enough said. Two drastically different games that both exist in the free to play space, both doing fairly well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And the interesting thing about it is you can do it ethically. And Warframe is a really good example of a game that's done super ethically, or even Passive Exile. And both of those titles really, really good, but they mostly concentrate on gameplay and loot and grinding. And we're not kicking that. That's a really good. That's just a traditional thing that the way it's been. But I think with our mediums, if we can do it right with storytelling and some of the ideas that we have in mind, I think we can really provide something new to the gaming audience. So that's our goal.
Brilliant. Excellent. How
Oh,
are you
thanks.
doing, Jalen?
Pretty good. Trying to figure out how to get this key over here.
Looks at Dennis strangely.
Not yet. He doesn't have to give me a hint yet. I'll struggle for the next couple of minutes, and then we'll see. What was... This is the worst part, though, when I'm trying to remember the runes for the spells, and I don't remember them. That was cool.
Am I the only one that would write things like that down on paper? I always have a notebook when I'm gaming, just in case.
Yeah, I hear that. The good old days. I remember making maps for Ultima. I remember having the one map pinned, and then I just love that stuff.
I distinctly remember, I think, in the back of this... Yeah, in the back of the old PlayStation ones, there's a little thing for notes. On the back of remember when games had manuals?
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I remember that manual. There was a lot of effort went into manuals, and now, of course, I guess there isn't. And now there's no discs anymore. So hey.
We joked in the Discord before, willing to buy physical Dead House. Just saying.
Yeah.
Physical collector's edition.
That I guess is a possibility for manuals as well. We've partnered with, and we haven't launched anything yet. But World Anvil is going to be one of the main repositories. I would say I wouldn't quite call it a wiki. It would be, but a place where people can contribute content, and that's all part of the Project Dios and the map making suites that'll go from top to bottom on creating content. So it's going to be both a tool, but also will be sort of a living manual as well. So that'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what people think of that. Yeah.
Actually, that kind of leads into a question, another one I had from the Discord. It was asking, will our characters persist over the ages, or will we be carrying a family name kind of thing?
Well, I guess that's going to depend on the house. But for the undead, they are immortal. So for Dead House, the answer is yes. And I guess without giving away anything else, it will depend on the house otherwise. But yeah, we're not going to be doing character wipes or anything like that. So.
And then there was a second part to that question. How far would you like to see the ages go into the future from when it starts? I think he was probably also asking, like, how long? Basically, how long would an age be and how far, like... Because I think it's a new concept for some people.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think... So the first few being exceptional because we really are going to be feeling our way around on how fast we can do drops. Are we going in the right directions? Filling in, getting a lot of community feedback. So aside from those, my answer is probably once a year. With each house we introduce, we will introduce a new age. And that's my gut. Now, for the first few ages, as we're just getting the game up and running and getting feedback, ages may come a little sooner. But my gut says once a year, an age will be a significant update because you're going to you're introducing an entirely new house, you're going to get entirely new classes, and you're going to get a massive amount of content, narrative, and storyline associated with that. So that's the idea.
Every time you talk like that on one of these streams, there's myself and a few others in the Discord chat or in the Twitch chat right now going, I want to play it now.
We want you to play it now too, trust me. We just can't go fast enough. It's there's so many things I wish I could talk about. And it's on the tip of my tongue and I don't, but we're excited. And it's exciting to hear that you're excited. So that's awesome. It's awesome feedback for us.
That looks familiar, Jalen.
It does. Spell magic did not work. Shield seems to work though, so let's keep going with this. As long as it doesn't run out while I'm still on it. Like that. Oh, come on, keep going.
I wanted to know, Jalen, is there any pressure with Dennis sitting here watching you?
No pressure. Definitely not. I would prefer to have somebody here who knows this game as well as he does, obviously, to be able to talk me through some of this stuff.
It's funny, most of the time while you're playing, I'm actually not paying attention. I'll watch you die once in a while and laugh, but I'm concentrating on the questions that are being answered. So that's why it's really good. It's really good that you're playing because it's really hard to answer these questions. Otherwise, they do require some of the questions are pretty tough ones, and people know their stuff. If we're going back to the days of Legacy of Kain, that's over 20 years ago. So I have to really think to make sure I've got the question right. I understand. Oh, I know. Me too. Trust me. It's so unbelievable. So yeah.
Yeah.
And on to that, when you were saying about questions, for any of the new guys that might be joining us, I know I've been very gently pushing people towards Dead House. One of the guys actually was Galt, who asked this. He showed up the Trinary Arc system, and he says, can you tell us more or describe that in detail for someone completely new? Could you give a brief rundown on the Trinary Arc system?
Right. So that's a great question, and that combines with two things. So the Trinary archetype system really is a gameplay system that defines the classes and defines what we would call death states. So there is so everyone understands, it's based upon, imagine three things: physical, magical, and essential, which is body, mana for magic, and essence for soul. And all of the character classes focus on one of those three things. And if you go to the website and you see sort of the breakdown of where the classes sit, the vampire is right in the middle. So he is a hybrid of many of these. And but all the other classes are at different extremes. Like the Lich is all towards the magic, and whereas the White is more towards the essential. So that helps define the classes. Now the death state system is something that's I think pretty unique within Dead House, and I think really helps make it stand apart. And what that means is essentially, when you die in Dead House, it would have been the most boring thing ever. This is what any game that, there's very few of them that do, but when you do play the undead, they just have you have a health meter, and then that's it. And basically all it's saying is we're putting a skin over you, we're making you undead, but essentially you play like every other class. And that's not how it should be. So we wanted to create a system that truly represented people who had passed beyond the veil of the living. And so what that means is the Trinary archetype system gives you three states to be in as you play. So if say you're a vampire and you lose all your hit points, then you will transition to an ethereal state, which is where all your magic is. And if in that ethereal state, when you're missed and you still take damage through magical weapons or other, I guess, unusual means, you will then transfer to the what's the right word, to the contained state where your soul is, and it's like a phylactery. So we wanted a consistent rule set where you can define how you play the game. So through choosing your skills, you just because you lose all of, say, your health or your vitality, that doesn't mean you're out. As a matter of fact, it shouldn't. And there's a lot of research and a lot of things, particularly there's a video with Dr. Jeff Howard where we're doing research into St. Cyprian and a lot of necromancy. Death is considered just a change of state from the living. So as you go through these different states, as undead, you basically have to go through all 3 meters before you're really truly out of everything. So, and with all this stuff, which this stuff really excites me, I think it's really cool. So with the essential state, which is essentially like a phylactery, we have ideas where you could do things like, say you choose a doll for your phylactery, which means your spirit is in this doll. So if you lose all your hit points and you lose all your magic, then suddenly you're transformed into a doll. You're running around as a doll, and you're definitely not going to be as powerful as you were as a vampire. But at the same time, you're not out yet. So, and there'll be special skills associated with that. It could be a mirror, it could be a magical weapon, and by defining these different kinds of things, both by class and by character customization, we think we're going to offer something that's really unique, that really hasn't been seen in the sort of gameplay spectrum of what it would be like. And I often feel there hasn't been, at least in my experience, enough deep diving in what it means to be undead, and we really want to explore that. So some classes, as an example, will default to the magical state and be ethereal and not be physical. So, and then when they do get physical, they're not as powerful, say like a wraith or a banshee. You know, those are the kind of things that we're kind of looking at. Anyway, that's my 10,000 foot explanation. I know I went on for a long time, but I hope that made sense.
Loved hearing it. And we have actually a question from Golden Zan. Hey! In the Twitch chat, he said, what is the monster that dwells in the pit and why is it there?
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
These? Those are the pit monsters. They're just very Lovecraftian creatures meant to, I guess, show that you're only seeing the surface of what these things truly are. There's obviously something below. They could be worms, or they could be appendages to something much larger. And they're there. We didn't really name them, but they're just sort of Lovecraftian tentacle creatures. That's really the best explanation I can give to that. We were going to explore them in a sequel, and if we get the opportunity, we'll certainly dive more into that. Just like this yellow magic.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say, yellow is not a color you see very often in this game.
Well, it is, as for those who know, it is the fifth ancient that's completely unnamed. So.
Yeah, no thanks. I'll avoid that pit and those monsters if I can from now on.
Oh, a question for me in the Twitch chat. Are you a Slipknot fan? I like their music, but I wouldn't say like I'm a fan. I wouldn't rush out and buy all their stuff, but I do listen to them. I've seen them live, and trust me, that's a rare feat in Ireland. Not many metal bands come here, unfortunately, or not as many as they should. Although I was delighted Ghost came here not too long ago. They were fantastic.
Cool.
Where was?
So you when you saw Rush, what year was that?
No, Slipknot.
Oh, Slipknot. I thought you said Rush. I was like,
oh, Rush. No, I haven't been so lucky.
Slipknot. When did you see Slipknot? Sorry, I thought you said Rush.
They were here as part of a festival a few years ago. And what happened was, this would have been back when they were still wearing the red jumpsuits, so like just about the second album. And what happened was they should have been here beforehand, but in a funny turn of events, which you might find familiar, They got banned.
Ah,
This is what happens in Ireland. We ban horror movies and heavy metal music and all the fun stuff, and they got banned and turned away, and then somehow
Oh,
there was
no.
a deal done. A parents' association here complained.
wow.
So
Yeah,
it's
that
literally the
sucks.
parents down with the sign, down with that sort of thing, you know.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Sailor Midgard, will the HMS Bitter be in Deadhouse?
Well, maybe we can put something in like that for a homage. Maybe continue the mystery.
And leave it another decade or so before anyone even finds it.
Yeah, that's crazy that people just found it this year. I still find that blows my mind.
Did you have any idea that like it would go that way? Or did you think, oh, someone will figure it out soon?
We thought we knew it was a hard puzzle. I never thought that it would take that long, and I knew it. After 4 or 5 years, I started realizing maybe it was really hard because people were questioning whether it was a bug or not, and I'd be like, no, it's you can get that, but it's really hard, and it probably too hard. I think the one thing that just put it over the edge was we should have made the switches not invisible. We should have had a special like 4 things that you had to go throughout the world and just had them sitting there with no clue. Then I think it would have been fair. It would have been really hard still, but it was a little unfair because they were invisible. So
Before the fact, were you ever tempted to just spill it going, they'll never figure it out? Look, right.
oh yeah, many times. Yeah.
Okay, another one. Question for Eternal Darkness here. Was there any ideas for C-stick functionality? Like, for example, more hotkeys for quick spells?
Yes, there was. And we thought because you paused when you went into the menu, it was only a convenience thing. And generally, we felt that was the 4 were probably enough. And adding more might have made it just more confusing for the players. So we did talk about that stuff specifically. And back in those days, you have to sort of take yourself back to when we launched Eternal Darkness, which was that 2020 now? Or no, was it 2022? 2002, sorry, not 22. Was it 2002 when I can't remember when it launched?
It's like an age ago.
Yeah, it's almost 20 years ago. But back then, the fact that we weren't doing tank control was completely revolutionary. People are like, "What is this? I can't control the camera," or I'm not using tank control. It was very bizarre. Since that time, many games have adapted this kind of camera. So our goal was to really focus on the interface to make it as easy as possible. So we thought that extra menu might have been just one thing too far, so we never put it in. We did discuss it though. It's funny, I remember that, but I remember having those talks, so it's a good question.
There you go, guys. And anything else? Drop it into the Twitch there.
Yeah, please. We'll happy to answer any and all questions about Deadhouse Sonata.
Deflect from Jalen.
Yeah, while I struggle with these. Can't cast spells while in the Trapper Dimension. Cool.
I'll just say, Jalen, you're doing better than I would anyway.
Not by much, I promise you that. We'll see.
Okay. Jalen, I realized when we were playing last time, I didn't get a chance to really jump in, but way back, this is a few levels ago, you missed doing some of the autopsies. They're really fun. Did you ever get an autopsy?
I think I did some, because I had the notes from the Roivus great-grandfather explaining some of the monsters and how, the ones that come out of the bodies are weak against the head. The blue guys explode and transfer gas to each other, which will make them explode.
Yeah. They're called bone thieves. The ones are called bone thieves. The ones that come out of the body.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're just going to keep running through this hallway because there's quite a bit of stuff in here.
You got another one from the Discord. Sorry, Jalen?
Nothing. I was just saying we're running through that room, and now I don't have to deal with those guys. Hopefully. Unless this game
Okay, we
makes
got
me
another
back.
one for Lord Scara from the Discord. So going back to the old mention of voice skinning, will we be able to use it for voice chat or just creating content?
Both. The goal would be to use it for both, for sure. I'm very excited about the voice skinning potential. There's some other stuff we haven't really talked about yet because it's way too aggressive and out there, but we've got some really cool ideas for voice chat. But yeah, the idea is to use it anywhere you want in the game. So.
Oh, fantastic.
That can lead to a lot of some really good multiplayer experiences.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of opportunities for content creation.
I'm really looking forward to that idea. We've one from Mournblade777. Will there be the concept of reincarnation in Dead House? Feeling that gets into a little spoiler territory, does it, Dennis?
Yeah, this is a tough one. Reincarnation, because of the concept, really means coming back to life in another body. By definition, if I understand reincarnation as I would define reincarnation. So I guess the answer is perhaps in another house. Yes, with the House of the Dead. We have to do something for when you really die, when you go through all three of your, when you burn through all three of your states. So there will be something, I guess, similar to that with soul transferring and the Well of Souls. But basically, if it works well in gameplay, we'd certainly consider it for the other houses. Yeah, it's my first answer to that.
That'd be a difference then in the different houses when you take a look. Like, there's like as you said with different houses, there's a subtle difference between reincarnation and resurrection.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting question, and I like the concept of reincarnation, but to do that in gameplay, I'm trying to think if there's been many games that have done it. I can't think of too many, so would be interesting. Maybe some games do it. When you die, I guess there are some now that I think about some indie games. When you die, you come back in someone else's body, or you're the next in the generation, which is that's a cool concept. So the answer is yes there.
Omicron Nomad Soul.
Yeah.
Game on the Dreamcast.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that one. That was cool. Yeah.
I swear, only for David Bowie, I would have completely forgotten that game.
Yeah.
But it was a great idea at the time. It was phenomenal. It was something completely different.
Yeah, and it's that. Those are the kind of things that I think people remember, and that's why I always look at Legacy of Kain and Eternal Darkness. It's not the specific mechanics so much, or the gameplay is more of the experience that people remember. And I think that's the most important thing with games is we give people really good experiences. And that's at least as we start going down that path, we'll have the gameplay and we'll have the loot, and we'll have the grinding and all of that stuff. But the experiences and remember things like seeing the look on Jalen's face when he's getting ready for this boss fight and watching him get crushed by the Greater Servitor. It's just stuff. I live for that stuff. I just think it's fantastic.
When Dead House launches, will we be doing this only with Jalen replacing Eternal Darkness with Dead House?
Yeah, maybe. I think so. I think Jalen will definitely continue to play.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be very interesting because once the game launches, I'll continue to join, but I think the community will take over. You will be able to put in many more hours than I will be able to once it starts going, because it will be my job to continue the game going and getting ready to launch all the new houses and getting feedback and all of that stuff. So.
Oh, but Dennis, we'd always want you back to come in to say hi all the time.
I will come in as much as I can. Absolutely.
Getting hypnotized by Jalen.
Yep, I'm trying to run through. Oh, please don't touch me. Please don't touch me. Oh, not the trapper.
Run.
Okay. Whew.
So I have to. We're on stream now. I'm going to make a movie recommendation because it's one of the best horror movies I have seen in an incredibly long time, and it's the Nicolas Cage movie, Color Out of Space. And he's been on kind of a roll. I really loved Mandy. I thought Mandy was really good, and Mandy was kind of like this sort of 1980s, maybe 70s slasher kind of acid trip movie that was good, and I was hoping that Color Out of Space would be as good as that. I was blown away. Color Out of Space was really good. It was much better. I think it's up there with The Thing and Alien for me as far as conceptual, and it is one of the best horror films I've seen in a long time. So if you like Lovecraft, which I assume people who like Eternal Darkness love Lovecraft, it is one of the best films. I was blown away, and I literally saw it a couple days ago. I'm still thinking about it, and how good that movie was. And I understand they're considering a trilogy. I'd love to see these guys do In the Mountains of Madness and other Lovecraft stories. That'd be amazing. This was, if you haven't seen it, have you seen it, Mike?
No, I had the opportunity. We were going to see it right before the plague hit, and all the theaters shut down here. But I watched a review, and I can't remember the name of the YouTuber now, but he just at the start of it, he says, if you're a Lovecraft fan, go see this film. Warning, I'm about to give away spoilers. Turn off the video. I'm like, right, that's it. Yep, I'm sold.
Yeah,
So
I would never give away a spoiler. This movie is good from beginning to end, and the ending and the way it wraps up is amazing. I just can't recommend this movie enough. So Color Out of Space, amazing, really good. Some pretty creepy moments, but overall very cerebral and interesting, on top of the horror, which is perfect, right?
I'd love to see if they go through with what you're saying and make it the Mountains of Madness. That would be, like, I've read that so many times. I'd love to see, even if it's possible, to visualize that properly.
Yeah, I agree. I know Del Toro was in talks to get that greenlit, and I've been lucky enough to bump into him and meet him a few times.
Wow.
He's back before the plague, and
Uh,
That's what we'll refer to it as from now on, before the plague.
pre-plague.
Yeah.
But he's got a place in Toronto, so he's I don't know if he might even be a Canadian citizen, but I know he's got a house in Toronto. And in the film district, he was sitting down in a cafe, and a couple of my friends who are in the film and television industry knew him. They're like, "Hey, do you want to meet him?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." So we started talking, and this was just at the time when his horror thing with Kojima was canceled, so he was kind of bummed out. But I think I'm hearing rumors that they might be picking that up again and working on that with Sony Studios for the next title. I'd love to see Kojima
Hopefully.
follow through with his horror. Yeah, that was a pretty cool concept. So
I loved playing that demo, and people are like, oh, but it would have been the same thing running around the room. No, that was like the Dead House. We talked before about the Dead House. That was a teaser of what the idea of the game was, and I can't imagine what the end product of that would have been. It would have been incredible.
I agree.
yeah, I think it was really cool, and I think deserves to be made. So I really hope they can do it. So, like I said, I've only heard rumors, and this is not any inside information at all. It's just what I've read on the internet myself. So,
We'll all fingers crossed.
yeah.
There you go. By the way, we got all the F's in the chat, and now we have one clip of me dying for the promo for next week's show.
Yes.
I was
Good
going to
job.
say something, Jalen, but I didn't want to pour salt.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Used to it now. Oh, and we don't have enough magic for that. Can't even cast.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to cast Recover to get some essence back, or some mana back.
You don't have it. You don't have any magic.
No.
There's nothing. There's not. You can't. There is no spell to recover magic. You have to just. This is one of my biggest criticisms of Eternal Darkness. I wanted there to be a way of recovering all of them and a price to pay for all of them, but a lot of people thought that was just way too complicated. But I wanted an economy in there where you could trade between all three, much like the Trinary archetype system in Dead House.
I was just going to say that sounds familiar.
Back to threes.
It does. It does. You know, it is definitely different, but well, I just can't. Oh, I'm so excited to roll out the Trinary archetype system across houses. Just that particular design and the way it works. I'm very interested to see the reactions. I think from a gameplay perspective, it's pretty unique.
I'm looking forward to trying it.
It's going to be cool. So, but anyway, we'll start with the first. We'll start with Dead House, and then hopefully from there, if we're going in the right direction, we'll be able to take it to the next level. So,
cool. And we've got another question from the Discord from Lord Scara. Will we be able to dye our armor of choice, and how do you see this system being implemented?
Yeah. So the idea. Where we want to take it is to have a dual paper doll system. So one paper doll for the actual items that you're picking up and that are defined by the game that affect the gameplay, and then the other that are cosmetic. Mm-hmm. And the cosmetic ones, so even though you can make yourself look however you want, it's going to be the ones that are on the gameplay paper doll that really define the gameplay. That's to really make sure we can create a ethical, non-pay-to-win scenario. But that, yeah, can you change the color of your armors? And yeah, I don't see why we can't do that. We did that with 2 Human. These kind of things are pretty straightforward to implement.
So we would be doing like a layered armor system. You'll have your actual armor and then layered armor cosmetically, so to speak. Right.
So, well, the idea is I don't know if I'd call it a layer rather than it's like almost like a priority system. So the cosmetic layer that does not affect gameplay will be on the secondary paper doll. And so if you have a Roman Centurion helmet as an example, regardless of what helmet you pick up for gameplay, you will always, if that's in your cosmetic display, you'll always show that helmet. If you take it off, you'll see what's underneath. So, but the idea of that is to separate the looks from the actual gameplay. And that's what we want to do with this, to allow people to basically dress up your character any way you want, but at the same time have gameplay. And if you don't spend anything on cosmetics, you don't have to. You'll still look different and have different armor sets, what you would see in a traditional action RPG.
Would there be any element of, when we're adding the cosmetics, right? If you had, let's say, normal armor, would you implement, or is there any idea to implement cosmetic layers over it that would complement the armor? For example, let's say I had a full suit of, just because I was recently watching it on Netflix, like Viking, like almost mail. Like, could you get a cosmetic that would then put like a fur cloak just over the shoulders, so you're still wearing the mail, but the fur cloak just over, stuff like that?
For sure. Yeah, you can. Yeah, absolutely. There's no. It doesn't have to always override what's underneath it. It's just to give. The idea is to make sure there's a clear option of what's cosmetic and what's not. That's the idea. So yes, the answer is yes. You can definitely do that.
Did I see that again, Jalen?
No, you didn't see anything. It's a sanity effect.
Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And another one from Elvion. Will we be able to paint our armor with the blood of our enemies? Meaning, are there going to be like blood spatter on armors? You know, the blood effects and whatnot.
Highly desirable, and I guess given the opportunity, I would love to see lots of gore splatter everywhere, and I'm sure all the censorists will get upset, but yeah, more blood, more blood. That's what I think too. If it's animated,
it's fine, as long as it's not real. It doesn't matter.
That's right. As long as it's not real blood, we're good. Yeah, I absolutely would love to see that, and I think it's possible. I think doing stuff like that makes it really fun, and yeah.
That's what I've always found in games is that like the more gory it is, it's not as scary and whatnot. You know, it's actually easier to have fun and stuff. But people I've known that are like a bit more sensitive to gore, like I'm a horror fan, so it wouldn't affect me. But
Yeah.
people that are more sensitive, very subtle things will shock more than others.
Oh, yeah.
Like I was watching something. I don't want to plug it, but I was watching something on Netflix recently. It's a Viking story, and guys butchering each other, swords and axes, nothing. But then there was one shot of a guy getting an Achilles tendon cut, and that winced everyone. You
Yeah.
know, just one subtle. There wasn't even much blood or anything, but just the nuances of gore versus.
Oh yeah, yeah. And if done right, like that's why I think if you look at even the bathtub scene in say in Eternal Darkness, not a lot of gore there per se, but what we did, we turn off. It's the only room where there's no music, and we sort of dampen everything, and I think you can hear some sound effects from the window, but you don't know why, but suddenly you're feeling uncomfortable, and then it hits. It's just like so.
Yeah.
Did a good job. Go ahead, Jalen. Sorry.
I was gonna say, if we want to talk about that bathtub scene and how it jumps out and gets you sometimes, I agree for sure. The lack of music was it weirdly tips you off that like something's going on, but knowing that a scare like that is coming doesn't help you really. If anything, it almost just makes it worse because you start tensing up. You know something's about to happen, like something goes on in this room, and then when it does, it's still pretty shocking. Same thing with like sort of the opposite effect is that boss fight. You know something's coming, or the lack of a boss fight rather. You know something's coming. You know this is going to be something big, and then just it subverts your expectations.
That was a funny watch. That was.
Yeah. I think those kind of things they're interesting perspectives. You just build upon what people expect to see in games. They get ready for this boss fight, and then just boom. We had a lot of people write us going, "Oh, you got me with this one. It was pretty awesome." And that was back in the day when the internet was young too, so people really had to go out of their way to try to get hold of it.
Sending you snail mail with their reaction images.
We did get a lot of fan mail for that. Yeah.
People are recommending I save.
But I do think sound is definitely one of the key things that most people don't give credence to enough in like horror, whether it's games or movies. It has some of the biggest impact, and when done well, no one even notices it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Sound is going to play a really big part. Steve and myself talk about that regularly, and we want to do some pretty dynamic things that I guess will key off the environment, but also key off your certain situation. And we did do some of that for Twin Snakes. The soundtrack is dynamic, and I think for Two Human we had some stuff as well with dynamic soundtracks. So we're really going to try to drive it home with Dead House. We'll see how that goes.
And we have another message in the Discord from Varric Khaldun. Greetings, all. Will we be able to make our own assets, and bring them into DHS?
Yes, I hope so, is the answer to that. The idea of, so first of all, we want to make sure people don't have to do that. But if they do want to do it, the answer is yes. And of course, we've got to make sure certain things don't get in there if people are going to start doing that.
Exactly, because you know the first thing that's going to happen.
Yeah. I guess our filter will be we'll have to we'll want to keep it consistent with the theme of Dead House. We don't want anything that's illegal that would violate copyright or any other illegal things that it could be, and got to make sure that it doesn't do something like I don't know what's the right Pokemon or something that just doesn't. Pikachu 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of artwork and stuff like that it just wouldn't fit within Dead House.
It wouldn't fit, and you don't want Nintendo on you.
Also, there's 2 points there. One was the sort of spirit of it, and the other is the legal stuff. So yeah, basically the answer is yes. We'll have to put in filters with the the overriding goal being, as long as it's legal and is within consistency within the storyline, then yeah, we're game for it. Yeah.
Dennis, could you turn up my volume a little bit? I can't hear it terribly well.
Yeah.
I know you've got my TV remote somewhere around there.
Yeah, that used to be, it's so old now, it's dated, but back in the day, they all looked like that, and that would have creeped you out back then.
I was actually going to say, Dennis, when I played this, well, I didn't play, a friend of mine was playing it, and I was sitting watching him. That was the same thing as the television we were playing on.
Yeah. Yeah, and nowadays, no one has volume controls like that anymore because they're so dated. But yeah, back then it worked really well. It really freaked people out.
I could boot up my CRT back there. We could get the exact same effect. I got my GameCube somewhere. We'll pop in Eternal Darkness that way, though you guys at home wouldn't be able to watch it quite as well.
I was watching some videos on YouTube the other day, people claiming that CRTs actually give you better pictures than some of the flat screen TVs these days.
Yeah, I
and I think
that.
Yeah, was it me or it might have been Varric? It might have been Varric or someone.
Linked in the Discord anyway.
Yeah, it was really cool watching that. I was like, wow. And I've got a few of those lying around. I want to set one up now.
Because I know, for like older games, like everybody talks about that I know of, Super Smash Brothers Melee has to be played on a CRT, otherwise the graphics get messed up. But that's interesting. In general, they could give you a better picture.
It's all going a bit wobbly.
Okay, now we finish surveying, and I can get out of here.
Okay.
This altar still has just human bones. Sweet. Oh, now I gotta run past that guy again. This hallway. Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me.
Dennis, if we're doing this a year from now and Jalen is playing Dead House, will we have the ability to grief him while he's playing?
Well, we can put in some special, make some special modules, some interactive streaming griefing for Jalen specifically.
So that anyone watching as well can join in the fun.
To just slap him around, yeah.
Hey, if we let we can let the stream viewers be my DM for the dungeons, right? They'll be able to throw in all sorts of traps at me. Captain Cutthroat can assault me with spider after spider as much as he wants.
If you put that as like a paid bit thingy, that you could throw spiders at Jalen in game during it, you'd make a fortune.
As long as it's in game,
well,
that's fine. You can throw spiders at me in game as long as you want. You throw them at me in real life, well, now it's different.
Yeah, that is one of the interesting things with the interactive streaming, right? Like, what can we do that people would be interested in, and what would be fun and what would entertain people, So those kind of ideas are interesting for sure. Nothing mandatory. That would suck. So
no, yeah.
I do think the fun, like on the fun side of griefing, like with your own, like as someone who is a streamer, anyone like in my group, if they could grief me in a way that wouldn't completely ruin the game but would be funny, like I'd definitely be up for that. Like, and I think many of the guys would be.
I can think of so much potential for that stuff, and that's what we're working on, and we're still very early with some of that stuff, but the Dungeon Master technically was the most difficult to do because you have real-time input into it, and that's where the real fun stuff starts coming in, because once you can interact real time, everything else is easy. So it's pretty cool stuff. So yeah.
And we've got another one from Pandora Jane. Question for Eternal. Did you consider at some point that Roberto could end immediately after doing all the surveys?
working on a speed run, trying to find out if there's another glitch to make it go faster. That's a good question, Pandora Jane. No, I don't think so. I don't think we contemplated that. Now, it might be possible if you found a glitch, but no, I don't think we ever really talked about that in particular. So this is the end, though, for Jalen right now.
Oh, the end for me, for Roberto, I hope.
For Roberto.
Okay, oof, just making sure. I was gonna say this game was shorter than I thought it was. And Cutthroat Gaming in the chat, it's called a Dutch tilt or a Dutch angle. I found out Hitchcock used them quite a bit, but the tilted camera angle to show that something's slightly off is I called it the wrong thing the first time I brought it up.
We were really, still am very big Alfred Hitchcock fans. When we were making this, we often would reference Alfred Hitchcock, and so yeah, and this is I don't know how many people realize this, but this particular scene is based off of a real life character called Tamerlane, and he would go through the Middle East, and when capturing cities, he would literally build these pillars of bodies. To show everyone in the city that he was a ruler, and then he'd go just to terrify everyone. So he'd go over, take over city, build a pillar, say this is ours, and then move on to another city. Reasonably effective short term. Long term, people got very unhappy with him. He was unable to maintain territory. But yeah, this was based on real life events, so pretty scary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I can't imagine why people didn't like him. Weird.
Yeah.
You into the pillar.
Exactly.
Okay, so there we go. We got that chapter's done.
Yeah.
I gotta go find. Oh, did I have?
Time for the next chapter, wherever that is. Have you found it yet? I don't think you found it. Have you?
No, I have not.
Yeah.
Good question. Let's see if we can.
This is probably an opportune time to save, though, Jalen, and end the stream because it is 5. Just letting you know.
Yeah, actually, good call.
Hint.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, if we start another chapter, we'll be going for probably another hour. So it's really up to you. But I'm just giving you a heads up that it is 5. So.
Yeah, I always get caught up playing the game and I forget what time we're running on. But yeah, it's 5 o'clock now, so I guess that is a good point to wrap things up. Faceless Mike, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Thanks very much, man. Oh, it was an honor to have you on. Thank you for joining us.
Mm-hmm. And if the people in our chat wanted to go find your stream, Faceless Mike, where would they go to?
It's literally twitch.tv/facelessmike. Same on Twitter, same on Instagram, anywhere.
Perfect.
Anywhere you'll see this face.
Or
awesome.
Black
awesome
face, I guess.
Join Faceless Mike's stream, everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, like I said, we really appreciate you coming out. Is there anything else you'd like to tell the audience before we wrap it up?
Can I say it? Fight the living!
Fight the living. There you go. I love it. Well, thank you guys in the chat for joining us for this week's Apocalypse live stream. We really appreciate all you guys coming out and supporting us. If you'd like to support us some more, myself and Ian will be on stream on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we go over your ideas and suggestions for Dead House Sonata in our community roundtable stream. Next Friday, we'll be having Distortion Devil join us while we play Eternal Darkness. And until then, you can visit our website at deadhousesonata.com, find a link to our Discord to join our community, have your voice heard in our forums, and you can visit our store page to purchase a Founders Pack and become a part of our first stage. My name's Jalen Pachanik. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and fight the living, everybody.
Bye, everyone.